Good evening.
I hope all is well.
All is well.
It's been a while.
Yes.
The ball is in your court now, Doc.
Okay. So, good evening once again. And in this edition of Radio Lecture, we are going to discuss the qualities of a good teacher. With me in the studio are, I think, 4 students from the Principle and Practice of Teaching class. But 2 are with me right now. The others will join because of COVID-19 protocol. So 2 are with me here, and the others are waiting at the reception area. They will also join us later. And we'll give our students the opportunity to introduce themselves. They are here to contribute to the discussion. And later, the phone lines will be activated, and you also have the opportunity to contribute to the program, or you can ask questions. There is this saying that all professions can boast, but the teacher taught them all. This suggests that whether you are a medical practitioner, whether you are a lawyer, or even a teacher, a pastor, at some point in your life you were taught by some people. And so we all have perception about who a good teacher is. The question is, who is a good teacher to you? Or what qualities do you expect to see in a teacher? These questions appear to be simple, but they may generate diverse and contentious responses. And the reason is that what you consider to be good may not necessarily be good to another person. So I'm going to give our students the opportunity for them to tell us what, in their views, a good teacher is. We'll start with the lady. Ladies first. Introduce yourself, tell us your department, and then your views.
Okay. Good evening. I'm so grateful to be here this evening. My name is Isifu Asana from the Economics Department, and God being so good, I'm here to also share my views on who a good teacher is. Many a times we ask ourselves who a good teacher is, and to my opinion, what I know about someone or a teacher being a good teacher is that a good teacher is the one who is able to demonstrate or during teaching. Maybe a teacher is about to teach us maybe the concept of money. The teacher is able to demonstrate what actually we the students have to know. And with this teacher that you are talking, that he's a good teacher, he's the one who always show respect to the children or the students. Because some teachers, when they are teaching, they don't consider we the students. So a good teacher is the one who showed respect to the student. He makes sure that student gets actually whatever he's teaching. He made it clear the topic that he's teaching, delivering to the students. He made it clear that at the end of the day, the students are able to get actually what the teacher taught by the end of the lesson. And a good teacher, as I know, also is the one who interact with students. Let students bring their views on a topic or the topic he or she is about to deliver to the class. He makes sure that the children feel free to bring out their views, what they understand about the topic he is about to teach. So with this, that's some of the things that makes us know who a good teacher is. But then when you talk of a good teacher, it has been categorized in 4 main categories. And some of the categories are, one is the academic qualities. So when we are talking of the academic quality, it means that the teacher must know the subject he or she is about to teach. Most teachers, they don't know what they are even teaching the student. They just come, like we, some of the when we complete SHS, we try to go into these private schools to teach. Sometimes we don't know actually what we are teaching. We just use our mind. let me teach. I will read the book just like that. The little understanding I know about the topic, I go to the class, deliver to the student. At the end of the day, maybe what I delivered isn't the actual thing I'm supposed to deliver. So in being a good teacher, you have to consider this as academic qualities. You have to make sure that we consider that. And the second is the professional qualities. Professional qualities is that it means that something, knowing that something doesn't guarantee the ability to act upon the knowledge. With this one, what it means is that sometimes knowing and acting is different, but sometimes you consider them, we bring them together as one. I might know something, but I wouldn't be able to act upon it. Example is that someone might be having in-depth knowledge on maybe what this topic may be demand, but as to how to deliver it to students to get the understanding, the teacher wouldn't be able to deliver it to the student. So this one too is one thing that makes us know that a teacher is a good teacher or not. And the third one is personal qualities. When you talk of personal qualities, it tells us, or it means that your appearance. How do you appear in class as you are about to teach the student or the children? Some teachers will come to class with maybe annoyance, wouldn't show something at least to make the children be ready or prepared for the lesson. Some will come with some things, even dressing code as is also part of being a good teacher. So if you come to class with shabby dresses, you are not educating the student. You come there with mini trousers down. It doesn't speak well of a good teacher. So with all these things categorize or help us to know who a good teacher is. That's my opinion on the topic, who a good teacher is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asana. We'll give introduce yourself.
All right, good evening. My name is Eric Delato, and I'm very glad to be given this opportunity. Opportunity, they say, comes in a lifetime, and when it comes, you utilize it very well. Okay. I think a good teacher basically is the one that exhibits various qualities that help students to understand a particular concept. And in looking at these qualities, we can talk about the fact that a teacher who is deemed to be good should first of all know the name of the students that he is supposed to teach, because name forms an identity of a person. And if you know the name of your student and you are able to mention his or her name in the class, he or she feels a sense of belonging, that, oh yeah, this teacher knows my name, therefore I am part of the class. That is what a good teacher should be. And then also, a good teacher should be the one that accepts the views and contributions of his students. There are some teachers that when they come to class and you try to give out your view, they tend to shut you down, they tend to ignore you. It makes the student feel very inferior in the class. Therefore, as a good teacher, you always need to accommodate the views and contributions of your students. Then also, casting my mind back way, I can remember that my teacher used to give me money during break time. When maybe in case I come to school and I don't have money, he say, "Oh, Eric, come, let me give you 5 cedis, go and buy food. Have you eaten?" I said, "No." "Okay, take this money, go and buy food." I think it is not always about the academics, but as a good teacher, you should be able to go the extra mile to find out things that are bothering your students. Even if it is financially, or maybe they have problems in their homes, you can help them resolve these issues, and those things will help the students bring out their best. And also, I think a good teacher should be the one that has a sense of humor. You should not be a teacher that comes to class and always you have a frown face. Your face looks very scary and students are afraid of you. You should have some kind of character or charisma around you that when you enter the class, the students will feel comfortable. You make them smile, you make them laugh. When it's time to laugh, they laugh, and when it's time to be serious, they are serious. I think that is what makes you a best teacher. And then also, as a good teacher, you need to have a sense of responsibility, being it professionalism. You need to know what you are coming to the class to do. You know that, oh, I am a teacher, I need to be in class by this time. You don't wait until the time is over before you come to the class. It seems as if you don't understand the work you are doing. So as a good teacher, you need to be very responsible for your work. And also, a good teacher should be the one that accepts his or her mistakes. First of all, there are some teachers that when they are teaching you, they feel that they are all-knowing. They compare themselves to God as if you don't have any other mind. So when you try to bring out something else, they ignore it, and whatsoever they teach you, they say, do it this way, even though there may be other methods of going by it. So a good teacher should be the one that will accept all those things, put them together to help develop himself. And to add to that, I think a good teacher is the one that continually adds up to his knowledge. You read more. You don't just stay where you are. You add more, because day in, day out, there are new discoveries. There are new things coming on board. So as a good teacher, you need to go the extra mile to read other books, add to your knowledge, and come and give good information to your students to help them be abreast with the system. Don't always be a teacher that everything that you do is theoretical. Bring out things that are more practicable. Ignite your students to be able to take out things that you've taught them and apply it in their life experiences. And also, a good teacher basically is the one that knows the subject matter of whatsoever he's going to teach. Because you may know a lot of things, but when you don't know that particular you don't know anything about that particular subject, or you don't have a full idea of what you are going to teach, sometimes you tend to confuse the students and yourself, because the subject matter of whatsoever you are going to teach matters. It is the whole content of whatsoever you are transferring from you yourself to the student. Therefore, there is a need for you to know that subject matter. And also, the good teacher is the one that has a good class control. You need to be able to balance the atmosphere. You need to be able to ensure that students don't do things on their own. They are confident. When there is time for them to do a particular assignment, you become very fair and firm. You make sure that they do it in a particular way. You don't allow cheating. When there is noise in the class, you are able to control them. And you control each and every aspect of your classroom work. That is what makes you a good teacher. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eric. I think we will have to call the others to come in, then while you also wait at the reception. Okay. Okay, so whilst we are waiting for the other two students to join us, I will summarize what Asana and Eric the latter said. Asana touched on the fact that a good teacher is the one who is able to demonstrate. Okay. A good teacher is one who shows respect to his or her student. A good teacher is the one who is able to interact with his or her student. A good teacher is the one who allows students to feel free. And then with the professionalism, she said, a good teacher is the one who is able to teach for students to understand. And then with the personal qualities, she talked about appearance. A good teacher is the one who dresses very well, is able to carry herself very well. And then Eric Delato also said, a good teacher knows the names of his or her student. A good teacher accepts the views and contributions of his or her student. A good teacher is very caring. A good teacher has a sense of humor. A good teacher has a sense of responsibility. A good teacher accepts his or her mistakes. A good teacher acts to his or her knowledge. A good teacher knows the subject matter. Okay, so we have James Owusu and Benis Yabua in the studio right now. They are also going to tell us what, in their views, a good teacher is. So we start with the lady again.
Okay, as Doctor said, I'm Benis Yabua from the Department of Economics Education. And from my point of view, I think that teachers are like second parents. So being a good teacher is like being a good parent. They shape our minds, help us to recognize our talents and goals. And also, so being a good teacher, your work doesn't end in the classroom. As parents, their work doesn't end in the house. They rebuke, they encourage, they motivate us to take a step. So I think for one to be a good teacher, you must have all these qualities of a good parent, and you are good to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dennis. Okay, so James, what do you also think?
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm a person called Osu James from Department of Economics Education. In my opinion, if I say a good teacher, who is a good teacher or someone who is a good teacher, maybe is a teacher who is warm and who is also accessible to students. Maybe it's not a teacher when students are maybe need their help, maybe they have to go in and there and get looking for him or her. But also a teacher who is also have what enthusiastic spirit and also what have a caring. Maybe they are teachers, they don't care whether about they don't care for their students. Maybe the situation where they are in. But the good teacher, you need to care for your students. And also he's the one who maybe student may have maybe to be with, maybe in terms of needing, maybe in terms of having problem or concern, or even a teacher whereby his or a student can go to him and maybe share a funny story with him. And also a good teacher maybe is the one who imparts students with what knowledge, values, and skills, and also what attitude. Maybe their students, you can't say that as their role model, but the good teacher, you can say a good teacher as role model. For example, my economics teacher imparts on me more. That's why I'm even studying economics. So he imparted me the way he was motivating me, and he will give me advice. So he possesses all the quality of good teacher. So in my opinion, I would say that a good teacher possesses good listening skills, and also take time out of their way when they are too busy. Maybe they schedule for anyone who needs their help. Maybe they say, oh, go, if you need help from the teacher, say, go, I'm busy, or come later. No matter how the teacher is doing, he may have time for you and talk to you when you are in need. And also, in my opinion, I'll put maybe, how will you see maybe this teacher is a good teacher or not a good teacher? So based on my opinion on these characteristics, I'm saying that a good teacher respects students. He respects everyone's opinion. You don't tolerate you don't tolerate some and then leave at that time. So he respects every student. Also, a good teacher also creates a sense of living in the classroom and belonging. Maybe there are some teachers when they will enter class, maybe some students maybe feel shivering. I don't know if maybe it's time for them to go to break. But if you're a good teacher, you create an atmosphere for living in the classroom. And also, I would say that a good teacher also have what leadership skills. Maybe he have a leadership skills. He show maybe how the student may look on him or her. Indeed, maybe I want to be like my teacher. I want to be like my madam. I want to be like myself. He said leadership skills, and also a good teacher also collaborate with his colleagues in any basis. Maybe they are not too knowing. Everything I know everything. No, he collaborate with his colleagues, teachers. Maybe this is what we are going to do in the school. Okay, then let's put our heads together. They collaborate with their colleagues, and also what are the qualities that I'm expecting from my teacher? This teacher is a good teacher. In my opinion, I'll say that a good teacher also love their students. They take care of their students as their own children. They love their students as their own, and also they have to listen to the students. They are not autocratic. There are some teachers when you need help and go them. No, you will feel shy to approaching them. They're not autocratic. They're listening. They're not too knowing, because a good teacher are always learn something new every day. And also, I'll say that a good teacher also have a patient. There are some teachers maybe they don't have the patience. Maybe they are always harsh. So maybe they know how they have a patient listening. Maybe the moment they see something, they have to take action. No, a good teacher is always patient in everything, maybe in the classroom and even outside the classroom learning. And also, a good teacher also fill the classroom with positivity. There are some teachers when they go to the class, they speak only negative impact on the student. Maybe their teachers some teachers even down the spirit of their students. So they always put positive impact in their students. And also, I'll say that they are constantly look for better way of the students, and also make time for the student. Maybe they also think better for the student. Maybe I want my student maybe to become this in the future, to become someone like this in the future. So they wish their student well. Maybe and also they don't compromise on anyone. So that means I would say that in my opinion, I'll say that this and that. Now you see on your teacher say, indeed, this teacher is a good teacher. In my opinion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dennis and James. Okay, so I'm going to go over what they said. Dennis said a good teacher as like a parent. A good teacher also rebukes, encourages his or her student. And then James said a good teacher is the one who is accessible to students. So student, if they need help or assistance, the teacher is there to help them. A good teacher is the one who is passionate about his or her job. A good teacher is approachable. A good teacher is the one who imparts knowledge. A good teacher is a good listener. A good teacher respects his or her students. A good teacher creates a conducive environment for students to be able to learn. A good teacher has leadership skills. A good teacher is the one who collaborates with his or her colleagues. A good teacher loves his or her student and take care of them. A good teacher is not autocratic. A good teacher has patience. A good teacher is optimistic and impacts his or her student positively. Okay, so notice that all the 4 students have their own perception who a good teacher is, and we can't say that they are wrong or right. That is their opinion. Now, in general life, it is really difficult to say that this person is a good teacher. And the question is, what is good and what is bad? What is good is relative, and what is bad is relative. But generally speaking, educators agree on some qualities that every teacher is supposed to possess and be able to demonstrate in the classroom. And we can categorize these qualities under 4 main headings. We have academic qualities, we have professional qualities, we have personal qualities, we have leadership qualities. And because of time factor, I'm going to limit myself to 16 of these qualities. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, for every area, I'm going to talk about 4 qualities. So let's start with the academic qualities. Like our student said, a good teacher is the one who has control over the subject matter. As a good teacher, you should know your subject, because you can't give what you don't have. If you don't know what you are going to teach your student, then you have a problem. So you should have adequate knowledge of the subject matter, the subject that you are teaching. You should have control over it, and you should be better than your students. And that is the reason why we don't allow, or it will not be advisable for somebody with bachelor's degree to teach MPhil student or PhD student. It is never done anywhere, because as a teacher you have to be better. You have to be better than your student. Another academic qualities has to do with the teacher's ability to conduct research independently or as part of a team or a group. I think Eric mentioned it. As a teacher, you should be able to team up with other teachers in your school and then find solutions to problems facing the school or your student. And you should be able to do it as part of a group or independently. You should have the ability to conduct research. Once you conduct a research, you should share your experiences or your findings so that other lecturers or teachers or even the general public can also learn something from your findings. Another academic qualities that a good teacher is supposed to possess, it has to do with the teacher's ability to use technology. As a good teacher, you should have knowledge about emerging technological tools. It is not enough to know the tools. You should be able to use them during the teaching and learning process. You should know, understand when to use a particular technology. And it is important that you attend the necessary workshops and training that will help you to be able to learn how to use the tools. You know, I've been teaching some master students, they are adult, and most of them are not willing to learn anything about technology. They call themselves BBC, born before computers. And so they are not willing to learn anything at all. And I've seen some undergraduate students who are just going through the system. They are not willing to learn anything new, or they are not willing to learn any technology. I think last Monday in EduTech, educational technology class, I asked my students how many of them have used even a laptop or a computer before. And I was surprised that the majority of them have not used a computer before. And I said, at this level. So I encourage them to take the advantage of the system here, because here we have ICT. And so make sure you learn how to use computers. And when we talk of technology, we are not really referring to computers It goes beyond that. I think students of EduTech, we have explained, they understand. But as a good teacher, you should be comfortable to use technology during the teaching and learning process. A good teacher is also the one who is up to date with current best practices. So the current knowledge or information in your field of practice, you should be aware of them. And how do you get to know them? You need to read journal articles. Read articles to know the current best practices. In terms of new ways of teaching, methods of teaching, strategies, techniques, you should be able to upgrade yourself or your knowledge. A good teacher, I think I've talked about 4 characteristics or qualities, academic qualities that a good teacher is supposed to possess. There are several of them, and because of time factor, at least I will give you 4 for each category. So now I'm going to talk about the professional qualities. Professional qualities. The first point is that as a good teacher, you should prepare before you come to class. Preparation is very, very important. Not only in teaching, but anything that you undertake in this life, you need to prepare. For instance, when you are going to put up a building, you can't start putting up you should have the necessary materials that will help you to construct the building. In the same vein, before you come to class, there are certain things that you need to do as a teacher. You need to prepare your lesson note or your lesson plan. You need to decide even the topic that you are going to teach. It's part of the advanced preparation. You need to decide on the methods and the strategies that you are going to use. You also have to determine in advance the assessment methods. And you have to review the lesson plan or the lesson note in such a way that without the lesson note, you should be able to teach. I've been on teaching practice, supervision, and there are some teachers, once you take their notebook from them, then it's like you have crippled them, they can't teach. And it's because they will not practice or rehearse. Because the lesson note is a guide. You have to prepare before you come to class. There is this saying that any work done well is done twice. Any work done well is done twice. So you need to prepare. That is the first thing. Then the actual execution. Okay. So if you are going to do a presentation, you need to prepare. You need to rehearse, practice whatever you are going to do before the D-Day. Otherwise, you are not going to do well. So as a good teacher, you should prepare before you come to class. As a teacher, if you are ill prepared, if you are not prepared, the student will know. They will know. Because the way you present the lesson will not be logical. What Ashantima will say, insisiso. Even the way you question them and the way you respond to their questions will tell the student that you are not prepared for this class. So a good teacher is the one who prepares very well before coming to class. A good teacher, the second professional quality. A good teacher is the one who employs diverse teaching methods, assessment, and TLMs during the teaching and learning process. As a good teacher, you should know the different methods, okay, of teaching. You shouldn't know only one. You should, for instance, you should know the lecture method. You should know the play method. You should know the discussion method and when to apply each of these. When will it be appropriate for you to? When will it be appropriate for you to employ? When will it be appropriate for you to employ the lecture method? When will it be appropriate for you to use a particular TLM? As a good teacher, you should know the different forms of assessment: formative assessment, summative assessment. You should know the different ways of assessing your student. It shouldn't be only quizzes or tests. You give assignment, you give project work, you assess your student orally, different ways of assessing your student. And that helps a lot because even a student in your class, they are not the same. Some even prefer maybe the lecture method. Some prefer the discussion methods. Others prefer the play method, activity. So you should really know the different teaching methods, the strategies and techniques, so that at least you can vary the way you teach to benefit every student in your class. Don't be one way. Another professional quality, and I want to say that I have categorized these qualities based upon my own for the 4 categories. Most educators agree on this, but as far as the various qualities that I'm discussing, I have decided to group them this way. Another person can say that this particular, let's say for instance, I said a good teacher is the one who prepares before coming to class. Another person who can say that it should be academic quality. Okay, so just for you to know that I have decided to categorize them this way. So you may not maybe agree with me, or somebody listening to this program might not agree with me, but that is my own perception. Okay, so the next professional quality, I think Eric Delato touched on it. A good teacher is the one who knows his or her student. As a good teacher, you should know your student. Knowing your student goes beyond just knowing their names. First, it is important that you know the names of your students, especially when you are teaching at the lower levels. You are teaching, elementary schools. You have about 40 students, or it could even be less in your classroom. You should know their names. Make a cautious effort to know their names and call them by their names. Like Eric said, if a teacher calls you by your name, you feel a sense of belonging. Sometimes you feel good. But if a teacher is calling you her, or the guy at the back, sometimes you feel that, why? Is it because the teacher doesn't like me? And why is it that the teacher is calling other students by their names, but the teacher is not calling me by my name? And you don't feel good about it. So as a teacher, you should make the cautious effort to know the names of the student in your class. Now, there are several ways you can know or you can learn the names of your student. For instance, if you are teaching a class for a very first time, you ask the student to or the pupils to introduce themselves. So you stand up, you tell the teacher your name and then a little bit about yourself. Then you sit down. Okay. Another way is that anytime a pupil or a student is going to ask a question, the person will have to mention his or her name. Now, they have to continue doing that until you learn to pronounce their names, especially when you are teaching a class for the first time, because you don't know them. Another method is to get a manila card. You fold it in the form of this calendar here, and then write the names of your pupils or the student on the card, and then each student will put the card with a name in front of them. So at least if you want to ask anybody to answer a question, the name is there, so you just call the name and then you tell the student to respond to a question. Okay. As a good teacher, you should also know the socioeconomic background of your pupils or students. Now, this is very important because one lecturer said things that happen outside the classroom are more powerful and influential than things that happen in the classroom. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. Now, even the curriculum that you are pursuing in the school, okay, you, the teacher, you are not responsible. All right. Now, the way you behave in the classroom, things that you are supposed to do, it's been you are told what to do, what to teach. Okay. Another aspect of this is that every student is from a particular home, and after school you don't know what they go through. Some are living with either their stepmom or relatives, and some even have to go and sell before they come to school in the morning. Some after school they go to the night market to sell. I have done it before, so I know what I'm talking about. I have to go out in the morning, sell before going to school, and in the evening, I was even staying with my mom. In the evening, I had to go and support her at the night market. And at the close of the business, 10 p.m., I have to carry the table back home. No wonder I'm not tall, because the table was heavy. Okay, so imagine that a student comes to class, and the student is dozing off. Use my case for example, because after school I didn't even have the time to rest, and I have to go and support my mother, come back, you sleep, and then wake up early in the morning and go and sell again. So if I come to school and I'm dozing off, a good teacher is the one who will be able to investigate to know why this particular student even sleeps in class or comes to school late. You should also know whether this student is from maybe a low economic background. Because why a student, when Eric was contributing, he said he remember a teacher used to give him money during break time. Okay, now maybe I'm not saying Eric is from a poor home, but maybe a teacher will not do such a thing just for doing sake. Maybe he felt that Eric needed help. So a good teacher is the one who knows his student. You know their names, you know their socio-economic background. You should be interested in them. You are interested in your student, their welfare and everything. A good teacher is the one who knows the weaknesses and strength of her student. You should know their strengths and weaknesses. You know, in the classroom, we have fast-paced learners or rapid learners. We have slow learners. A good teacher, you should be able to identify them and plan your tasks accordingly. If you have a rapid learner, or sometimes we call them exceptional student in your classroom, okay, if you assign them tasks, in no time the student will finish and then will be sitting down doing nothing. So, and that is why you should know them, and then you give them more challenging tasks. Once they are done, you give them something else to do so that they will not feel frustrated or be sitting down doing nothing. Okay, so you should know your student, their strengths and weaknesses, their names, socioeconomic background. This will help you to offer various forms of assistance that will help them to succeed as students or as peoples. Okay, the last professional quality that I want to talk about has to do with classroom management. As a good teacher, you should have classroom management skills. You should be able to create overall classroom environment that is conducive for teaching and learning. For you to be able to teach and for your students to be able to learn, the classroom environment has to be conducive and congenial. The sitting arrangement is very, very important. I've been to, again, teaching practice. We see a lot where there is no space. In case of emergency, it will be very difficult for even the student to come out, because the sitting arrangement is said that you, as a teacher, you can't even walk through. Okay, so make sure you are ensure good classroom environment. The sitting arrangement should be good, enough ventilation, and then ensure that your students will also be able to interact very well. And as a good teacher, you should also be able to deal with student behaviors. You should be able to manage conflict, because if you are not able to manage conflict, then there will be disruptions. Student A or pupil A is fighting student B. Okay, you should be able to manage simple and minor issues so that they don't escalate or they don't tend into become a major issue that would disrupt the class. So good management skills is very, very important. So as a good teacher, you should have classroom management skills. Now we're going to talk about personal qualities. Personal qualities. So we'll talk about 4 of them. Personal qualities of a good teacher. Now, when Asana, Eric, and Venice, and James Owusu, I think during their contributions, they talked about most of them. One, excellent communication skills. Excellent communication skills. As a good teacher, you should have the ability to express yourself very well, both verbally and then in writing. You should be able to communicate the content or the subject that you teach. You should be able to present it or communicate it in an effective and organized manner, so that students will be able to understand. If you are not able to communicate very well, the student will not understand. So, good communication skills. When you give assignment, either written or oral, it should be clear, so that the students know what they are supposed to do. Another personal quality of a good teacher. A good teacher is the one who is very respectful. He has respectful attitude. Respectful attitude. Respectful attitude. As a good teacher, you must respect your students as well as your fellow students, your fellow colleagues, your fellow teachers. You should respect your students as well as your fellow teachers. Now, if you don't respect a student, you don't expect the student also to respect you. And even the student will not even learn your subject very well. Teachers who don't, if you feel that this teacher doesn't even respect me, why should I even learn the subject? Even if I feel I don't care. So as a teacher, you have to respect your students. Show them some respect. Don't mock them. Don't insult them. Don't tease them. Especially when they make mistakes. Some teachers are fond of doing that. And then they will rather be calling the student with funny names. And the other student will also follow suit. Other students will also be calling the students with those funny names. When I was in the primary school, we used to have a lady in my class, and we used to call her Adra Tibor. That Adra Tibor was given by the teacher. Tibor means door. The lady is a slow learner. Okay, and instead of the teacher helping the student to be able to, read that standard, maybe that is expected of her, the teacher rather gave her a name, Adra Tibor. And that is how we were calling the student. At a point, she stopped coming to school. Now, if a medical practitioner makes a mistake during surgery, in the operating theater, the patient will die. Let me say this. As teachers, we have been killing our students. We kill students every day. We kill their initiative. We kill their vision. This Adra Tibor stopped coming to school, and I'm not sure whether she continue elsewhere. Okay, so in that case, if let's say if Adra Tibor couldn't continue schooling, the teacher has killed her career, her vision, and everything. A good teacher is the one who will not kill his or her students. He will rather will encourage them, like Eric said. A good teacher is the one who will wish his or her student well, is concerned about their well-being and then even their future careers. Another personal quality has to do with patience. Patience. A good teacher is the one who is patient. Patience, they say, is a virtue. And especially in the world of teaching, you need to be patient. Otherwise, you can't be a teacher. If you are teaching adult or even undergraduate, it is quite different from when you are teaching in the primary schools. Now you are teaching, let's say, a class of 40. You have individuals with different abilities or aptitude. And you have, like I said, you have slow learners, you have fast-paced learners. And you have to be patient with especially the slow learners. Otherwise, you are not going to succeed. as a teacher, you need a big heart. And the other day in class, I asked my student, how many of them have been called to teach? Teaching is a calling. So if you have not been called, don't go into teaching, because you need patience. And when teachers are teaching, you can tell those who have been called and those who have not been called. And patience is one of them. You can tell that this teacher has been called, because a good teacher, a teacher who has been called, the one who is patient. And as a teacher, in some cases, you have to be patient with parents, because some parents will come to the school and tell you how the school should be run and tell you how you should even do the teaching. They will tell you during their time how they were good students, and if the person had to be a retired teacher, the person will tell you, our time we didn't even have resources and we did this, we did that. You have to be patient with parents, because a parent can come to the school and tell you certain things that you are not supposed to hear, and if you are not careful, you are going to react. A good teacher is the one who will not react unnecessarily. And even as a good teacher, you should also be patient with your colleagues, because some colleagues will pull your legs. Some, because maybe of your hard work or something, they will envy you and they will start saying certain things about you which are not true, and you have to be patient. So as a good teacher, you have to be emotionally intelligent. And when you are an emotionally intelligent teacher, you are able to manage your emotions and the emotions of others. Because what do I mean by managing the emotions of others? Now, if I say something bad to you and you don't retaliate or you don't talk back, I have managed your emotion, because if you say something bad to me, I also say something bad to you, you also say, then that back and forth, before you realize, it will generate or escalate and will turn into something else. We'll end up even throwing blows. But if you say something bad to me and I don't retaliate, I don't say anything, I have managed your emotions. So a good teacher is emotionally intelligent. I'm not saying you should allow people to trample on you, or people should say anything that they like to you. No, but there is a better way, to seek redress. If a teacher and other colleagues is getting on your nerves, you can report to the head or the appropriate authority. There is no need taking the laws into your own house, or there is no need for you to react. So a good teacher is the one who is patient. Now the final or the last quality, personal quality that I want to talk about has to do with being approachable, friendly, and having a sense of humor. So a good teacher is the one who has a sense of humor. He is approachable and very friendly. Now, having a friendly attitude is one of the most essential qualities of a good teacher, in the sense that, if you express a friendly attitude towards your student, it makes you more approachable. The student can come to you and even share their personal problems. Okay, they can tell you their academic difficulties, their personal problems. And whenever you come to class, they feel good. They feel okay in your presence. As a teacher, when your students when they see you outside or in the class, they shouldn't run away. They should be able to approach you. They should even be happy. There are some teachers, when you see them, you want to dodge. You want to find a place to hide. Like James said, a good teacher shouldn't be autocratic. A good teacher, you should be friendly. You should be able to motivate your student to learn. And when you are approachable and you are friendly, your students will even be willing to learn your subject because they are happy with you. When I was in the secondary Form 3, my French teacher didn't like me. So I stopped learning the French. And after during that time, it was not compulsory. So after Form 3, I just dropped it. Okay. But I was a good student in French. But because of the fact that the teacher didn't like me, I stopped learning French. Okay. So a good teacher is the one who is approachable. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at the last but not the least category: leadership qualities. Leadership qualities of a good teacher. Leadership qualities. Leadership qualities of a good teacher. 1. As a teacher, you are a leader in the classroom. For them, you will serve as a role model. As a teacher, you are a leader in the classroom. You are a leader of learners. And your learners, or the learners, will look up to you for direction and guidance. And one of the hallmarks of a good leader has to do with his or her ability to serve as a role model. Because the students will look up to you in terms of what they have to learn, in terms of everything in the classroom. You are the leader. And even the way you dress, the student will imitate, they will copy. The way you walk, your walking style, your mannerisms, everything about you, your student will copy or imitate. So as a good teacher, you need to be able to carry yourself in ways that are worthy of emulation. I remember when I was in the primary school, there was this teacher who, we are not in the classroom, so I can't demonstrate. But in those days, they wear belt, and then they would tilt it one side, and then they start walking like a crowd. And in no time, in the school, the boys, we also started walking that way. Okay? Because a teacher was doing it. And even when I was in the sixth form, there was this national service person. I like him so much. And whenever he was teaching, we would be doing I thought at that time, it was a good thing. And I also started doing that. Okay. And I approached him one day. I said, well, I like the way you teach. And, he was telling me that he is even struggling. He has not taught before. So he was doing because of tension. I was thinking that it was a good thing. There was this teacher, okay, teaching primary school children. Primary 1. And he was teaching them 1, 2, 3. That I don't know whether the teacher had a code or maybe there was something, but as if he was talking from the nose. And then this is how it happened. It says, "Peoples, whatever, say this after me." 1, then the teacher was 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the students were also imitating. They were also doing the same thing. Then the teacher said, "Mama, then the student will also repeat, "Mama, okay, the point I'm making is that as a teacher, your learners will imitate you. A student will imitate you. Okay? So it is important that you carry yourself very well. Another leadership quality of a good teacher: disciplining skills. As a good teacher, you should be able to discipline your students when they go wrong. And remember, when we were talking about the classroom management, it's part of it. If you don't discipline them, then the teaching and learning will not go on well. Okay, so you discipline them when they go wrong. You set rules and make sure they abide by the rules. And when they go wrong, you discipline them. Otherwise, they won't succeed as students. If it's time for them to stay in the assignment, okay, they have to do it. It's part of the discipline. And if they don't, you deduct marks. That is the only way you can help them. You can shape them. Because they are not only in the school to get A's and B's and what have you. They are there to learn. They are there to acquire values, good morals. Okay. So a good teacher is the one who is able to discipline his or her students. And a good teacher, another quality, a good teacher is the one who is fair and consistent and treat everyone equally. Fair and consistent. A good teacher is the one who is fair and consistent. He treats everyone equally. Now remember when we are talking about the disciplining aspect. When you are disciplining your student, you have to be fair and consistent in disciplining your student. If you discipline A, okay, if let's say student A does something wrong, you discipline him. And then Sister B does the same thing. Then, so this person is from a rich home, a middle class home, so I'm not going to discipline that student. I'm afraid maybe the parent will come after me or something. As a good teacher, you have to be fair and consistent. And you have to treat everyone equally, irrespective of their socioeconomic background. Another leadership quality. A good teacher is the one who shows interest in his or her student and what they do outside the school. So you should know whatever is going on in the lives of your student after school. Show interest in them. Show interest in their how do you call it? The future careers or whatever they want to do. Show interest. Be interested in them. Encourage them. Motivate them. So when after school, when they go home, what happens? Are they able to study or not? You should be interested in their well-being. Because when they come to the classroom, if things are not okay from where they are coming from, they cannot learn, they can't study. So show interest in what they do in the school and what they do at home. In other words, be interested in their well-being. Be interested in their well-being. Okay, so I am going to review what we have talked about so far. I think it's 7:15. So after that, the phone lines will be activated. The studio lines 0503 923158 and 0332 320201. WhatsApp and text 0503 923158. Radio Windy Bay live. Okay, so we have been talking about we've been talking about the qualities of a good teacher, and we said that the qualities are so many. Okay, but we can categorize them under 4 main qualities: academic qualities, professional qualities, personal qualities, and leadership qualities. And under academic qualities, we said that, okay, we have, I'm going to read some of your test messages. Okay, this is coming from Johnson Awia. A teacher who cane a lot can be considered as a good teacher, because sometimes they put in some enforcement so that that lazy student can learn. All right. This is very debatable. Our time, yes, you can do that, but these days, if you kill somebody's child, the person will come to the school. Okay? The person will come after you. So, as a good teacher, you can go about it in a different way. If you want to motivate your students to learn, you don't have to use canes for them to learn. Just go through all that, the discussion we have had so far. The way you show interest in your student, you care for them, it will motivate them to learn. Okay, as a teacher, you can even force your students to learn the subject. There's a caller on the line. Go ahead with your question or contribution.
My name is APPIANING.
Okay.
Level 100 student, Hyper department.
Okay.
Level 200 rather. Sorry. I want to ask whether teachers are born or made.
I think we have treated that in the classroom. In fact, this question is outside the scope of our discussion. Okay, remember, was it last week or so, we talked about that in the classroom. And we said, yes, some teachers are born and teachers are made. Okay, it's both. Because last week I used an example of SHS graduate who can go to a private school and teach and do well. Okay? So, and remember, I made a point earlier on that some people naturally were born to teach. Okay? Whether they have gone through formal training or not. And remember, I used the illustration of a footballer. Even Messi has to go to training. He has to train week in, week out. Even though he's very skillful. Ronaldo, the same thing. Why do they have to train? So you might have the talent, you might have the gift or the calling, but you still have to go through formal training. And that is why we have colleges of education. Okay, so it is both. Okay, so I'm going to read a message from, okay, the name is not clear, but I will read the message. Good evening, sir. Please, can you check the volume of your microphone, because if there is some form of noise which can prevent student grabbing the whole idea. Okay, so maybe that issue has been resolved. Okay, let me read another message. This is coming from a political science, James from political science department. In my opinion, a good teacher is the one who motivates students to learn by using their personal qualities, their positive experiences, and their excellent communication skills. Okay, yeah, James, you have a point. Yeah, I think we talked about that. As a good teacher, you should be able to motivate your students to learn. And sometimes you share your personal experiences, because they can learn from you. And remember, we said that as a teacher, you are a role model. Okay, so the studio lines 0503 923158, 0332 320201, WhatsApp and text 0503 923158. Okay, so let me go over what we have discussed so far. So we talked about academic qualities, personal, professional, and leadership qualities. Under academic qualities, we said that a good teacher is the one who has adequate knowledge of the subject matter. The subject that you are going to teach, you should have control. You should have adequate knowledge, and you should be better than your student. We also said that a good teacher is the one who is able to investigate or conduct research to address educational issues facing his or her school, or it could be district. Find problem, conduct research to find solution to problems that maybe you and your colleagues are facing in your school. So if in your school, let's say the JHS or the SHS students are not doing well, what is the problem and what can be done about it? As a good teacher, you can conduct a research and share your findings. We also said that a good teacher is the one who is up to date with current best practices, and you will know the current best practices by reading journal articles, attending workshops, seminars, and in-service training. A good teacher is the one who is knowledgeable about emerging technological tools for teaching and learning. Under professional qualities, we talked about the fact that as a good teacher, you should prepare before coming to class. As a good teacher, you should also be able to teach effectively by employing diverse teaching methods, TLMs, and assessments. As a good teacher, you should know your students. You have to know their names, their socioeconomic background, their interests, their weaknesses, and their strengths. As a good teacher, too, you should be able to manage your class. Okay, you have a question. Yeah, Dennis has a question. Yeah.
You made mention of knowing their socioeconomic background. In our case, like this, we are many in the class. So should a teacher go by asking each and everyone where they come from, what they do in the house, what their parents does, and all that, or it has a limit? Okay,
this is a good question. Remember, the first day that I met, the PMP group, that class, and it's not only PMP, but I do that for all the courses that I teach. The first day in the V class, because it's a large class, we cannot introduce ourselves in the classroom because we are many. So in the V class, I gave an assignment, and in that assignment, I asked you to introduce yourself, self-intro assignment. That was the first assignment that I asked you to do. And I asked you to tell me your name, a little bit about your background, okay? And then your interests, your hobbies, and all those things. I didn't do it for ask you to do that work for doing sick, because I wanted to know something about my student. And that is one way. With the power of technology these days, at least you'll be able to know much about your student. Because in the past, it would have been very difficult. Because imagine a class of 500, 700. They cannot, it's not possible, okay, for them to introduce themselves. Otherwise, you can't teach if you want to do that, because you meet for 2 hours, you use that for introduction. Even the following week, I don't think you will finish. Okay, so by using the V class, yes, I'll be able to reach out to my student. Now, if you are teaching, let's say, in the secondary school or primary school, it is easy for you to do that, because you have about 40 students in maybe a class of, let's say, 45. Okay, we have a caller on the line.
Hello, teachers.
Yes. Your name and your department, please.
Please, I'm called John Solomon Bobo, Political Science Department.
Okay. Go ahead.
Please, I really appreciate the lecture this evening.
Okay, thank you.
And secondly, I would like you to go over academic qualities of a good teacher.
Okay.
I've had three and it's very 1 point. Please take it over for me.
Okay, so under the academic qualities, I talked about having adequate knowledge of the subject matter, ability to conduct research independently and as part of a team or a group to address educational issues. I also talked about the fact that a good teacher is the one who is up to date with current best practices. And then the fourth one, under academic qualities, we talked about knowledge about emerging technological tools for teaching and learning. Knowledge about emerging technological tools for teaching and learning. Up to date with current best practices. Ability to conduct research. Having adequate knowledge of the subject matter. Okay. All right. So I will go over the professional qualities. Before that, I'm going to read some of your messages. Okay. Hello, Doc. Thanks a lot for your time and effort. My name is Edu John Kwame from the French department. What is the message? Okay. No message. Just a compliment. Okay, another one. Good evening, sir. My name is Frank Tamaklu, French department. Please, can a teacher with communication disorder be a good teacher? Well, it depends. But if a teacher has a communication disorder, is it the teacher's is a stammerer or what? Or the teacher is using, well, I don't know, it depends. But if the Ministry of Education has given the person or employed that teacher to teach, who am I to say that the teacher is not is not a good teacher? Maybe there is a reason why that teacher has been employed. So in that sense, so it depends. Okay, unless maybe you explain further the nature of the problem. But I don't think GES will put, or Ministry of Education will put somebody in the classroom who is not able to communicate very well. Another message from, okay, the name is not here. Okay, please, sir. I know a good teacher needs not to get angry with students, but here lies the case where most students are facing such problems in school. Again, when we go out to do our post-internship, most of our supervisors are not able to come to our station, but rather makes us meet them in a different school. And I just learned that good teachers should at least know their students' name. All right, this is the other aspect, the teaching practice aspect is outside the scope of this lecture. But with the, so you need to talk to maybe the HOD, okay, about the teaching practice. And then with the teacher being angry, yes, it is true. That is why we are having this lecture. That is why we are having this conversation. So that when you go out, you will do the right thing. Okay? So, I agree with you. But I don't think a trained teacher and a teacher who has been called, okay, would be angry. Remember I said that one of the ways you know whether somebody has been called or not has to do with the way the person treats or handles students. Okay? If the person has been called to teach, you know the person is happy with the job, happy with student, even though the money that the person or the salary may not be anything to write home about, but the person take delight in the work because he has been called. And as teachers, our reward is in heaven. Okay, you have a question. Okay, let me read another text message. My name is Akurapa Michael, Economics Department. I have noticed that my student is not academically good. I have put in mechanics to learn mechanic. Am I being a good teacher? I have put in mechanics to learn mechanics. I don't really understand this question. I put in mechanics to learn. Okay, the question is not very clear. Okay, let me read another message. Please, sir, it is advisable for a teacher to teach ICT, to take students home with the motive of using his or computer for practicals, as most schools these days do not have computers. No, I will not advise you to do that. Taking your student home, so it means you have the computers at home, and you are taking your student home. Are they ladies or so anything at all can happen? So I will not subscribe to this view, but you need to discuss. If you are selecting only the ladies, then I'll say a big no. But in any case, you have to discuss with the school authority, discuss with your principal or the head teacher, and then so that they will give you the permission. Okay, assuming you have like you said, you have a good motive. Okay, so let them give you the permission to be able to take students to your house, because maybe you have a lab, ICT lab at home. I don't know. Okay, but why not? Okay, Eric says. Eric, James want to say something.
Said that maybe taking them to, you can. Why don't you bring the machine to the school so that you can plug the machine and then use it to teach them?
Okay, yeah, that is James' opinion. So it will be advisable for you to bring the computers or the gadget to the school, and maybe if you discuss with the school authority, they can even give you a place or a lab where, if you have several computers, maybe that will support the school rather than taking them to your home. Okay, anything at all can happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going over I've finished reading your messages, and okay, so I think it's 7 o'clock, so we will bring our lecture to a close. If you have a question, okay, do you have a question? Okay, James Owusu has a question.
Please, before my question is maybe as a good teacher, I'm using it for example. So, what inspires a good teacher to teach, or what inspires you to teach as a teacher?
What inspires a good teacher to teach? No,
what inspires a person to teach?
Yeah. Maybe we are here, we are doing our education. Maybe we are learning from maybe you going to class to teach. What inspires a teacher to teach? Yeah.
Now, for me, okay, I'm using myself as an example. For me, because I love the work that I'm doing, and remember, the first day we met, I told you that I have been called. In fact, I was called several years ago, but I decided not to teach because I listened to. Some people, the way they talk about the teaching profession. So I decided not to go into teaching. But I know I've been called. So when I teach, I become happy. When I see my student progressing, or acquiring the knowledge, being able to understand whatever I'm teaching, it makes me happy. Yeah. So that inspires me. Okay? Somebody too may be inspired by maybe the monetary aspect. Okay? So it depends on the individual.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Under the personal qualities, you made mention of patience.
Okay.
So let's take a level 100 students visually impaired
Okay.
students who just settled in,
Mm.
and a parent will come around because the parents may think that the teacher doesn't know my word very well. So I think I should come around to educate him or her on certain things.
Okay.
And here being the case, you said that you should be respectful enough, you should be patient, you should listen to what the parents will say and all that. And it could be that the parents will happen to be a former teacher,
Okay.
so they know all those stuff very well. And in dealing with their kid or something, so that being patient means being ignorant to what the teacher is saying, the parent is saying, or just being patient to listen to what the parents will say. Then afterwards, you will take it from there.
No, the parents are there to help you. Okay, the parents are there to help you to know more about their child or what. And remember, if you go by the method where the first day you ask them, if let's say you are teaching in the primary school, you ask them to, because about 40 students, you can even ask them to introduce themselves. And as a good teacher, you should, that's why I say you should learn about your student, so you will know. So if you play, you do your work very well, the parent will not come and tell you, okay, whether the child has learning difficulties or a problem. You will know. Okay, and that is why that self-introduction is very, very important, because during maybe the introduction, if the learner has speech problem, you will know. When you conduct assessment or exams or midterm or a class test, the performance of the student, you also know. So it depends. There are several ways that you will know your student.
Right.
Okay.
So going back to the introductory aspect, you've done it.
Okay.
You've made us introduce ourselves in the V class,
Uh-huh.
but most of the lectures haven't. So does it mean that there are no good lectures? Or?
Okay, speak. No, it doesn't mean that is my style. Okay, that it doesn't mean they are not good lectures. No, that is my style, and it will also happen that they don't know. Okay, now knowing something is one thing, and doing it is another. You might know it, but maybe that is not your style. But that is my style. Okay, all right. So, viewers and listeners, thanks for tuning in. This brings us to the end of our discussion, qualities of a good teacher. And I want to thank my able student, Bernice Diaboa and Eric Delato and James Owusu and Asana for contributing to the discussion. Thank you so much for coming. Okay.